Hey everyone, welcome to Thursday, May 7th. Going to continue on with chapter 27. We're actually going to finish the chapter today as far as work goes. Tomorrow I'll probably give you a day to catch up since I put about 2 or 3 homework assignments out there this week. And then Monday I'll put a review sheet up, and then Tuesday will be your chapter test. So you're going to have a chapter test on Tuesday. Any work for the fourth quarter that you haven't turned in, especially chapter 27, I need soon. Okay, I need soon. All right, I don't want to have to put due dates on things, but I will if I have to. All right, so I just really want to get into 3 things today: this worksheet, the answers, and the homework that I'll talk to you about shortly. All right, this is going to be posted in the classroom stream. All right, it is not homework. All right, you want to print it, you want to write the answers. I'll give you the answers. You can fill them in. This way, you have everything to study for in one shot to the test on Tuesday. All right, so I'm just really going to go over this quickly. It's not too much, hopefully a couple of minutes, and we will be done. All right, let it upload here. Here we go. So at the end of Vietnam, we know Richard Nixon is president, and that's what we're really going to focus on today is Nixon. All right, some of the good things he did, and then ultimately the issue that really ended his presidency, which we'll dive into shortly. Some of the accomplishments. All right, 2 things in particular. One, the United States is finally going to put a man on the moon. All right, Apollo 11. I believe back in chapter 25, section 4. I think we did something on the space race, or right around there. All right, but the United States and the Soviet Union had been competing to get to the moon, and Apollo 11 with the first astronaut Neil Armstrong walking on the moon, we will win. The second thing Nixon accomplished is his foreign affairs, or how he deals with other nations. Nixon's ability to deal with other nations were fantastic. Like I said, unfortunately, his issue at the end is going to overshadow all of this. We'll get into that in a second. Here is Neil Armstrong, astronaut. Here he is walking on the moon. All right, there's the famous photo. I have one after that. Here's the famous photo of him saluting the American flag. All right, this is on the moon surface. Okay, this is it. July 1969. President Kennedy wanted a man on the moon by 1970. Johnson continued that plan. Nixon's the president when it happens. All right, this is going to be broadcast on millions of televisions across the world, showing that the United States had reached the moon first, beating the Soviet Union. These were the 3 men. Okay, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins. Okay, these 2 men walked on the moon. Michael Collins flew the landing module and made sure they got off safely. Okay, all 3 of them, the first 3 astronauts on the moon. And obviously, here are some papers. Okay, this is from the New York Times. Men walk on the moon. This is one of the greatest world American technological of all time. I'm going to post a video clip where you can actually see Neil Armstrong landing on the moon and then ultimately speaking to the crew, I believe, back in Houston. Okay. One of the things Nixon really wanted to focus on was easing tensions with the Soviet Union. All right. He was a Cold War president. Containment and domino theory and all of that meant something, but the Cold War had been going on for 25 years at this point. He wanted to try to at least have positive relations, and he does. All right, one of the things he comes up with is this policy known as detente. All right, it'll be on your test. All right, where America will ease tensions with the Soviet Union. Well, how do you do that? One, all right, he visits China. That's huge. All right, in 1972, Nixon's going to go to China. Remember, in 49, China became communist. He is the first president to visit a communist nation. After that, he'll get the Soviet Union to agree on SALT, not what you put on your food. It stands for the Strategic Arms Limitations Treaty. All right, and it basically is a conversation where they're going to start limiting the amount of nuclear weapons that are made. Huge accomplishment. Okay, huge, massive accomplishment. The United States is going to ease tensions. He begins visiting China. He starts signing agreements with the Soviet Union, and things are going very well for Nixon in terms of politics and policies. All right, here he is. This is Mao Zedong, all right, the leader of China. All right, here they are walking the Great Wall of China. Here is his vice president. This is absolutely huge. Okay, President Nixon in a communist nation. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. Following this, all right, here is the president of the United States. Here is the leader or the premier of the Soviet Union, Premier Brezhnev. Okay, they shake hands. I mean, look at this. All right, there is positive forward conversation happening between the Soviet Union and the United States to possibly end, or at least begin the end, or have the conversation of ending the Cold War. And obviously, we'll talk more about that later. All right. When you look at this slide, all right, two pictures, this will actually explain what it is and the agreement. But it's basically the first time that the United States and the Soviet Union are going to agree on nuclear missiles. We're going to agree on the amount made. We're going to have a nice, pleasant conversation. Treaties can be signed. And maybe it looks like things in May of 72 are going to ease a little bit. They will, and they don't. We'll dive into that later. Okay. Number 11, definitely 100% on your test. All right. Nixon is the only president to resign. He's the only president to resign the office of the presidency of the United States. All right. Three presidents have been impeached: Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump. Neither one of them were removed from office, but three have been impeached. Richard Nixon is the only one to resign. In 1972, Nixon's going to win re-election. He wins it big. All right. Shortly after that, it finds out that there was a break-in at the Watergate Hotel. Watergate Hotel was the headquarters of the Democratic Party, the party Nixon was running against. Nobody really paid too much attention of it. All right, nobody really. It was a short story in a newspaper. No one really kind of made a big deal about it. And then two news reporters from the Washington Post, and I will show you their name. Show you them shortly. One of the reporters, Bernstein and Woodward, actually started digging into this a little bit more, and it came to realize that there was a group of men, those five men who broke into the hotel. They stole information on the Democrats, actually being covered up to keep their mouth shut by President Nixon. Okay. Some of his closest advisors, one advisor, particularly his last name is Dean, is going to come forward to say Nixon was aware of it. There's also going to be audio tapes of the White House that Nixon will originally refuse to turn over. But then when the tapes are played, it turns out that he actually did know about the Watergate cover up. He was trying to cover it up. And this became a huge political scandal. Long story short, Nixon had two options. One, go to an impeachment process where he knew he would lose, or two, resign. He will resign. He's the only president to do that. Vice President Ford takes over, and Ford is the only man to serve as president who never was elected. It's going to be on your test. Ford and Watergate will definitely be on your test. Okay? Ford will finish out Nixon's term, and then he runs again for president in 76. He loses to Jimmy Carter, and we'll dive into that later on. Okay, this is the Watergate Hotel, still there. All right, you can go there today. All right, and people the next day found a door broken open, and then when they did the investigation, they realized that Nixon was actually behind it. Okay? He knew about it. He tried covering it up. He tried paying from a fund that was used to get him reelected to keep the guys quiet. But after investigation, he will have to resign the presidency. Okay, these are the two reporters, all right, who keep the investigation going. All right, Bob Woodward and Paul Bernstein. All right, they keep the conversation going, they keep the investigation going, and they put pressure. These were the five men who were involved, who ultimately ended up having to resign and/or got fired by Nixon. This would be the gentleman here, Dean, all right, who will actually talk about the president's involvement, who will say the president knew about it. All right, he's going to try to cover it up. Nixon tries, can't. Okay, here he is on television announcing to the world that he's going to be resigning the next day as the presidency. This is President Nixon leaving the last time as the White House on Marine One helicopter. He's flying back to California. He's no longer the president. President Ford gets sworn in. He's the only man to serve as president who never was elected. A couple of years later, he will lose to President Carter. Okay, and we'll kind of dive more into them later. One of the first things Carter did that was immensely unpopular is he gave President Nixon a pardon. All right, Nixon never went to jail. He never went to court. It never made its way into a courtroom. He never had to testify about the involvement in Watergate. Everybody knew what he had done. All right, but the power of the president means you can pardon. Ford gets a lot of criticism for pardoning. Okay, it kind of ruined his couple of years as president. It was one of the ways in which Carter was able to win. All right, but Nixon was a very good president in terms of foreign policy. And look right here. All right, he brought the troops home from Vietnam. Right, he ended the Vietnam War. He restored law and order. He started working out deals with the Soviet Union. He had visited China. His policy of détente, all right, was starting to work. The United States and the Soviet Unions were starting to talk. America had landed on the moon, all right, all under his presidency. Fortunately, Watergate scandal will end him, okay? And he will have to resign. These two reporters kept the report going. He has to resign, and he's out. All right? Now, you're going to have a homework assignment tonight. All right? Again, I'm going to post this worksheet in the classroom section. This isn't homework, guys. Print it, write on it, have the answers, know it. I can tell you about the landing on the moon will be on there. All right, detente will be on there. Watergate will be on there. SALT will be on there. It's a lot of stuff that's going to be on your test, but you don't have to. This isn't homework. This is not homework. I will give you the answers. This is your homework. All right, very simple, very easy. You know the checkpoints. Checkpoint 1 and 2. All right, it talks about Nixon winning the presidency, visiting China, the Watergate scandal, and then President Ford and eventually President Carter. Okay? I will give you a Google Doc where you can submit the answers. All right, and then on Monday, obviously, we'll review. I'll post a review sheet, and then Tuesday will be your chapter test, and then Wednesday we'll get into vocab for the second to third or last chapter or so. All right, but this will be your homework. Please get it in, guys. Watch these videos. It's basically what I would be explaining in class with you personally. All right, plus it's good to study from. So, post it in the classroom. Post it in the classroom. Your homework. All right. If you have any questions, email me or text me. And guys, continue the great work. Thank you.